What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Fresh off the press is brand new OTA in which they finally address some power creep on the older cards of Snap. Another returns to its formal glory, and yet another Thanos Nerf. I swear, every week, Second Dinner gets together in their meetings, and someone's like,
somehow
Thanos
returned.
I mean, a Second Dinner learned nothing from the movies. It's right there in the MCU. You gotta go for the head, not the pinky, not the elbow, not the left ass cheek. The head, but more on that later. I think they finally did. Let's start with the fun stuff. We're going to talk about the power creep. Obviously, you guys know Cold Obsidian. He came out. It made Crossbones just the laughing stock of Marvel Snap. In fact, he was featured alongside some of the other worst cards in the game in my Ass Vengers deck yesterday with the Red Hulk. You guys can go check that out. But guys, he got a pretty big buff today. They're taking him from a 4-8, where you have to obviously be winning the lane to play him, all the way up to a 4-10. And yes, I still think Cold Obsidian's going to be probably a better card. It's easier to get a 1-drop, but this is much better for Crossbones. And it's not too hard to win a lane if that's your sole planning, and definitely don't mind the 10 power. Now, obviously, this means he's susceptible to Shang-Chi, which kind of sucks. I liked that he was under that 10 threshold, made him kind of nice against Shang-Chi if he was getting too good. But this also helps cards out like Scar, who can be cheaper in cost. We're getting a lot of these lately. Scar should be getting a lot better because of it. But yeah, I think Crossbones is going to be somewhat playable now. And in fact, again, we're getting more of these cards of just like the big power party is what I used to call it. All these 10s that are 4 cost. But I'd rather this Crossbones than the one that we obviously had. Now, let me know if you think we should have had a 4-9. Curious on y'all's thoughts. Let's get to the next buff. And this is a card returning back to the formal glory of what everybody was playing when the game came out. And then they got rid of that. And then they got rid of it again. And that's Angela. We've got a buff. Now, we saw this back last week with Captain Marvel. They returned her back to a stat line because the game has adjusted to the power of the card. And same goes for Angela. They're taking her from that 2-2. After you play a card on her, she gets +1 power. Back to a 2-0. But after you play a card on her, she's going to get +2 power. Now, this is exactly where I think Angela should be all along. First of all, say hello to Ravonna Renslayer. She's going to get a little bit more synergy there. But also, we've got cards like Kitty Pryde. We love Nightcrawler, Jeff Vision. These cards are already good. And now we can play them back on top of Angela and have them move. We have Hope Summers now to play into the equation. Maybe we ride the Copium back to Jean Grey. Either way, she's going to return back to one of the better 2 costs in the game. Silky Smooth might come back. The better Kitty Pryde decks. I'm definitely here for this change. And overall, I think this is a win for everybody. Moving right along, we got a brand new card to the game, Sabretooth. And you're lying if you say you play him. He was a 3-4. When he got destroyed, you could return him back to your hand and he cost 0. And now he's up to a 3-5. Now, we've been seeing cards like Black Swan come out. And then obviously we got the newest Season Pass card and Baron Zemo that are 3-5. And again, we were kind of calling power creep, right? Obviously, Crossbones was first with Cold Obsidian. And then we obviously had, I don't think anybody was saying Sabretooth, but, you know, the 3-5s are starting to come out. And they like the 3-5 stat line. They think it's been serving it well, and I tend to agree. It doesn't seem too busted, but if they start here, they've got a lot of work to do because there's, I think, a good amount of 3-cost cards that need love. But they start with Sabretooth, who is a very unique card in the game. I don't know if he's going to be played all that much. The only time he kind of shined was with like a null deck, and you could keep killing him over and over, and it was free to kill him, and you would put him back out there and kill him again. And it was like a supercharging null deck. A lot of fun, and I might return to that. But other than that, he hasn't seen a lot of play. Plus, now we've got like Mobius that can counter him if he got out of control. Either way, those should be a nice little change to a card that nobody played. Now, the 3 cards you're looking at right here are the only buffs we're getting today, but you have to remember that we're getting next week the monthly balance patch, and I'm sure that's going to be chock full of surprises and a lot to handle. So I'm sure this is enough today. Let's talk about Thanos, though, and the nerfs. We're going to take a little walk through memory lane, if you don't mind. For those that maybe weren't here, if you forgot, how many times they've attempted to try to slay the Mad Titan. Way more than the damn Avengers. First of all, you have the Space Stone. You used to be able to move a card from the Space Stone, making like everything a 1-turn Nightcrawler. Absolutely busted. They killed that pretty fast. Now you can move it to the Space Stone. Next up, we had, I think the Soul Stone was next, and then they got rid of drawing the card, and everybody was screaming, he's dead, and no one's going to play him, and how dare you, and he's still good. Then, I think it was the Mind Stone. You could draw any 1-cost card. Great. Then the Time Stone wasn't +1 energy. It was -1 cost. Then the Mind Stone was a 2-1. Can't believe I remember all this. Thanos was an 8 power card. Then he went up to 11 power, then down to 10 power. And that brings us to today. Now, Thanos is just like he is today. However, just like Quicksilver, he's now going to occupy one of the opening cards in your hand. In short, guys, they're trying to make the quest for the Infinity Stones worth it, and the payoff be Thanos, which I think is really cool and thematic. I definitely like it. He's definitely going to be a whole lot worse if you guys don't know. It's not good to have him in your starting hand, especially because the win rates, if we look at Thanos decks, were all up there if you didn't play Thanos. In fact, they have the stats for this. If you didn't play Thanos, you had a better chance to win, and they're going to try to change that, or at least make you do that now, and it'll be probably worse. Now, one of the things they're going to be doing with this, or how this can be affected, you can still get the stones in the starting hand, all right? That's fine. You can draw the stones. Nothing's going to be changed there, but you have to remember some of those other big cards like Mockingbird, Blob, those will not be in your starting hand. You're going to have this big 6-cost card. Now, the Time Stone, they're also changing pretty massively at that. They're going to be changing it from that drawing a card and then you give your next one -1 cost to now, on reveal, give Thanos -1 cost the next turn. And then you can still draw a card. Now, this is obviously worse, but this does give you the opportunity to play the Mad Titan on turn 5. And, you could play, like, Kyera and the Time Stone together on 4, then him on 5. So it's not, like, terrible, but it's definitely not good. This is going to make him a lot worse. And apparently, this is just the beginning of stone changes, both positive and negative. From the interpretation that I'm seeing here, they may bring some back to the formal glory. I think this is the Thanos that we're going to have for a while, and he's going to be really nothing like we've had. But I keep saying that. He could still be great. I doubt it this time, but he could still be pretty damn good. Nah, he's probably going to suck. And that brings us to our last adjustment of today, and that is going to be Miek. And don't worry, guys, nothing crazy is going to happen here, but they are going to be taking away 1 power point, and they're taking him down to a 1-0. Now, don't worry, discard lovers. He's still going to be pretty good. In fact, I think they were thinking about increasing his cost, which would just suck. We definitely don't want a 2-cost Miek. 1-0 should be fine. If you've been playing the deck, you know it's going to be okay. Discard's a little tight on the list, though, so, maybe it edges him out a little bit, but from my playing a discard, I think he's going to be just fine. Now, we did have one last thing added today. Baxter building, the Fantastic Four's, main hub, is now going to give +4, not +3, which is kind of important in your matches. You don't want to not play on this anymore. That's a much bigger advantage, if you will. They just randomly added that in, so I thought I would go ahead and tell you guys. We have another huge patch again coming next week. We'll be sure to update you guys on that, and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Is this a massive patch? Not really. I think towards the top end of competitive play, the Thanos people, they're going to be mad. The Crossbone change is cool. Angela's going to be nice. You should see a good amount of silky smooth Angela decks kind of rise back up pretty quickly. But again, let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't already, subscribe down below. It helps me massively if you enjoy these OTA videos. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. Anyway, good luck out there, and until the next one, happy snapping.